Well, there are very few places in the motorsport world with this kind of wow factor. This is Yas Marina Circuit. We're in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates, the richest city in the world, and they didn't miss a dime when they put this place together. $1.3 billion. So we're under lights for race 2 as we showcase V8 Supercars. Our Fuso grid shows an all-team Vodafone front row again, but they've switched positions. Jamie Whincup starting from pole, Craig Lowndes second, third goes to Winterbottom. Stephen Johnson looking good. He'll start from 4th. There's James Courtney, our defending series champion. Now, if you've just joined us, the news is that James comes into this race on -23 championship points. It's got to be some kind of record for a defending series champ. He was docked 50 points after contact with Jason Bargwanna, and he only made 27. So take you down to the top 10 where we find Tim Slade putting together a very solid weekend. Paul Dumbrell didn't have a lot of luck in the race yesterday, but again, he qualifies well. Will Davison, first weekend at Trading Post PR Falcon, alongside Garth Tander, 13 and 14. 15 belongs to Russell Ingall, car 39. Tony D'Alberto, the Wilson Security Racing this year, in 16th. There's Jonathan Webb, the Mother Energy race team, and Shane Van Gisbergen hasn't qualified well this weekend, but did finish inside the top 10 in race 1. Fabian Coulthard and Steve Owen for VIP Pet Foods make up the top 20. Great to have Steve full-time back in the category. David Reynolds and James Moffat make up positions 21 and 22. There's Dean Fiore, Greg Murphy from the Pepsi Max crew out of Kelly Brothers Racing this year. You won't miss that car if you haven't caught it so far on the weekend. The new liveries are a beauty. Bargwanna and Luff, and Rick Kelly and Carl Reindler make up this last row of the grid. So 18 Holdens, 10 Falcons. That's the lineup for 2011 as they head off on this warm-up lap, and it'll give you an idea of just how classy this place is. Under lights, it just looks even better. So it's 4.73 kilometres worth of circuit. We break it up into 21 awesome turns.
And it's a very complex racetrack to master. It's got a couple of very quick straights. The peak straight on the run down to turn 11 brings you 270 odd kilometres an hour, with the benefit of a tailwind today by comparison to yesterday where they were copying a headwind. So we're going to see a little variation in braking distances. Very complex in the midsection of the circuit around through the marina. Average speed about 145 kilometres an hour. And
now, if you watch Mark Winterbottom, who's going to tuck in behind Jamie Whincup on the second row of the grid there, talking to Mark, he was frustrated because he saw, if you looked at the vision from yesterday's race, of Jamie doing it really easy, and easy's the wrong word, but in terms of steering input in the car, doing it really easy on his tyres out in front because no one was annoying him. Mark Winterbottom, he was annoyed about that himself. He knows the only chance he's got today, if he can't get in front of Jamie, is to at least him. So Jamie's got to move around on the road, use up his tyres, and that might be the only chance he has to drag this 888 car back.
Marco, these weather conditions have got pretty interesting. You come to the desert, you expect it to be pretty hot. At the moment, the temperature has dropped to 19 degrees, the air temperature. The track temperature is 24 degrees, and the X factor at the moment is a howling wind, which is blowing directly down this main pit straight. It's going to make conditions pretty interesting.
Thanks, Barretts. Mark Beretta and Mark Larkham in pit lane, and of course Neil Crompton and Mark Scaife joining me in the commentary box. It's been a really weird day, but it is winter and we are in the desert, so we can expect a lot of wind, and that will certainly mess around with these guys as we go on board with Lee Holdsworth.
And those gusty conditions have been so strong in the afternoon and early evening. Chris O'Toole there, Ford Performance Racing crew chief, on the pit wall, making sure that his man gets up to the front of the box to not give away a millimetre at the critical start of the race. But it's been so blustery that there's a lot of dust in the sky. In fact, you'd almost say in certain areas on the horizon around here, it's almost a sandstorm. So there'll be a little bit of debris on the racetrack. Here we are with Paul Dumbrell. Had some problems yesterday. They've made a precautionary change to the steering rack in that car, and he qualified reasonably well up in position 11th. But remember, if you were watching our qualifying coverage earlier, he did it in the dying seconds of qualifying. At that stage, when we were starting to worry about him, he was last. With about 90 seconds to go, he jumped up to be just outside.
Remember, it's off the front row of the grid. Grid back, line yourself up laterally. Okay, slow it down. 3, 2, okay. Silent 5 metres 4, 3.
That's Mark Dutton talking to Jacob, and that is Mark Winterbottom right behind him. Lyco's already spoken about how important this part is. You can see Mark Winterbottom just moving the car up to right to the front of that box, and you need to optimise it. This is James Courtney in position 5. So this is a very important start. So 1, 3, 5. Whincup, Winterbottom, Courtney down the clean side of the road.
Of course, Jamie Whincup was our winner yesterday in race 1. It now means that he's won the first race of the season 4 years straight. The last bloke to do that was Alan Moffat back in 1973. And in the last 3 years, when Jamie has won the first race, he's gone on to win the second. So here we go. The second race of the season. The big question is, can they catch Jamie Whincup? They spread out and go roaring down to turn 1. Whincup goes through cleanly. Winterbottom as well. And here's where it gets tricky, up over the rise. This is where Will Davison had a spectacular off.
Alberto off the racetrack, he turns Tim
Oh,
Slade
that's
away.
a big crunch
Lots
at the
of
top
damage.
of the hill. It's not done with yet. Garth Tander's involved. Tim Slade's involved. Todd Kelly's involved.
Now that started with Alberto off the racetrack on the inside, and then there was just nowhere where all cars could go once they started crunching into each other.
So D'Alberto definitely started. He went down the inside of the road, couldn't get it stopped,
Safety car.
and safety car out now. A lot of damage to those cars. Garth Tander.
Almost exactly the same spot as race 1, just a little bit further up the road. Will Davison had a big spin yesterday and somehow managed to avoid everyone, not this time around. So there's D'Alberto's car. Look at the mess on the other side of the track.
So Tim Slade has been collected in that. Garth Tander, and that's Tony D'Alberto's car off in the distance. There's the Lucky 7 car, and a lot of radiator fluid coming out. Here's what happened. So for some reason, Tony just ends up off the racetrack on the left. No, he didn't make contact. He's just driven up there. That was... And then he's tagged the back of Slade.
Oh.
Tander's got nowhere to go into Slade. Steve Owen's gone straight into the back of Slade's car. Here he is again from the other angle.
So look for Todd Kelly's car. There's Todd. Bang. Slade. Tander. Webb. Reynolds. Gisbergen spun in the background. D'Alberto, massive damage to the front and the back.
That was all a bit average, really.
That was average. Can only make those passes if you can slow the car down.
Well, and you need to do it on the racetrack.
Absolutely.
Safety car's out. We'll take a breather.